Hi everyone, I'm Daisy Rocha and this is what's happening in Brazil. We start by updating you on the latest news from the country. During the UN General Assembly in New York this week, President Lula criticized the organization's ineffectiveness in resolving global conflicts, emphasizing the urgent need for structural reforms in world governance. Lula advocated for UN reform, emphasizing the need to address sustainable development and climate change. He also called for strengthening the peace-building agenda and reforming the Security Council to make it more effective and representative of the Global South. The president pointed out that there is no gender balance in the exercise of the highest functions. Over 30 million Brazilian children are at risk due to rising heat waves. Since the 1970s, the number of days with temperatures above 35 degrees has increased fivefold, worsening issues like malnutrition and infectious disease. The United Nations Children's Fund in Brazil, UNICEF, is urgently calling for actions to protect young people from climate change. For the first time, the Federal University of Minas Gerais awarded posthumous diplomas to 4 students who were victims of the Brazilian dictatorship. This act of historical reparation recognizes their fight for a free and democratic country. Additionally, 2 staff members and 2 professors who were barred from their duties by the regime were also honored. The dictatorship in Brazil lasted 21 years until 1985, and many military personnel involved in persecutions, torture, and deaths remain unpunished to this day. Brazilian Academy of Letters has unveiled a wall in Rio de Janeiro honoring writer Machado de Assis, making a significant milestone in his legacy. Assis, perhaps the biggest name in Brazilian literature, lived in the city the last century and is one of the most influential authors. His work includes 10 novels, over 200 short stories, plays, poems, and chronicles. Part of Negro Muro project Black Wall in Portuguese, the expansive artwork highlights Assis's contributions as prominent Black intellectual. The art aims to correct historical misrepresentations of his racial identity. The inauguration featured discussions and performances enriching the cultural experiences. In today's story of the week, you will take a look at how the fires are affecting various regions of Brazil. The worrying scenario of environmental devastation is being intensified by extreme weather conditions. In the Federal District, a fire hit the Brazilian National Park last week, consuming more than 2,000 hectares of the environment unit, the equivalent of over 3,300 football fields.
In August alone, over 6 million hectares were burned in Brazil, which is equivalent to almost half of all the areas affected by fires in the country in the year. At Brazil's Federal District, the fire took over the Brazilian National Park last week, leaving around 2,400 hectares of natural reserves consumed by the flames so far.
O parque foi objeto desse incêndio.
The park affected by the fire reflects what is happening throughout Brazil. Today, there are around 30 conservation units, national parks, reserves, and forests on fire in the southeastern and center-western areas of the country, in addition to the Pantanal biome, Caatinga, and the Amazon.
The fire-consuming Brazilian National Park has already left part of the country's capital engulfed in smoke. Up until now, no animals have been injured, according to the park's management. With signs that the fire is under control, a more detailed assessment of the fire's impact on the fauna will start shortly.
We have a team from the Cerrado Research and Conservation Center on the ground and a team from the Brasilia Zoo to make this assessment. If any injured animals are identified and sent to Ibama's sorting center or zoo, we also have the support of the Federal District's Environmental and Military Police.
So far, the fire in the park has not been completely extinguished, although it is under control. There are still hot spots with underground fires and the possibility of reignition when a focus of fire that has already been fought begins to burn again. That's due to the high temperature, windy conditions, and low air humidity.
Underground fires are among the most complex because you don't see the flames, you just see the smoke. That's why they're so complex. They burn below ground and have several associated risks. So the fire is being fought using equipment such as hose, crawlers, and motor pumps to pour water and cool the area down.
After a fire has burned through an area of vegetation, it is necessary to cool it and monitor the region to prevent new fire outbreaks.
But there is no doubt it is a huge loss. It costs a lot of money. Note that the infrastructure set up to combat fires is what we can measure, so to speak. However, the impact on biodiversity, the carbon dioxide emissions that contribute to warming, and the species that we may lose, that's a loss we can't measure.
Brazil had its best ever campaign at this year's Paralympic Games in Paris. The athletes won 89 medals, showing the country's power in parasports. In this week's Culture Talk, you will learn more about how all this is possible.
Brazil ended the Paris Paralympic Games with its best ever campaign. In fifth place in the overall medal table, the country once again established itself as a powerhouse in the competition with 89 podiums. The country got 25 gold, 26 silver, and 38 bronze medals. Meanwhile, many may wonder why Brazil was considered a powerhouse in the Paralympics. This is the result of collective effort, but also of the strength of public policies.
O esporte paralímpico, então, ele precisa de
Paralympic sports need public policies to be established in all regions of Brazil, right? It is essential to have municipal, state, and federal support, such as public notices with specific projects to encourage the practice of adapted sports. It's necessary because this massification, the diversification of sports for people with disabilities in Brazil, means that we can have an ever-growing network for attracting talent to Paralympic sports. And consequently, this is what we've seen now at the Paris 2024 Paralympics. We are already reaping the fruits of this public policy.
The Sports Training Center of the Federal University of Minas Gerais results from these investment policies. The space has been a benchmark for Paralympic sports since 2019, being one of the first established by the CPB, the Brazilian Paralympic Committee. Christopherson Dias Nascimento, who works at the center as a swimming coach, one of the sports that won most of the medals in Paris, reaffirms the importance of multidisciplinary work for athletes' best results.
We can do everything here, for having a multidisciplinary team from the University of Minas Gerais. Teachers and students, we have the structure. Because the structure here is fantastic. You don't see a structure like this sports training center anywhere in Brazil. You have a 50-meter swimming pool blanketed with a heater. You have a track that is also an official track, so you don't find that anywhere.
Considered the world's fastest Paralympic sprinter runner, Terezinha Guilhermina is the result of public policies such as the Athlete Grant and tells the story of someone who overcame difficulties. The former athlete was born with retinitis pigmentosa, a disease that causes gradual loss of vision. For her, although the Games helped to raise awareness of the fight against disability, this is a battle she faces every day and one that still needs more attention from society.
Whether through sport or not, disabled people who set out to do it with excellence make society more equal. We can't change the general structure, but we can change people's minds. We can do this by showing things, speaking out, and explaining. Because I'm 45 today, it's happened to me that, for example, a teacher said I would be a psychologist who would never pay for a test at a university. And I told her, "Professor, how long have you known me?" She said, 3 months. So I said, "Look, I'm over 30. At the time I told her, "I can't give you the right to say what I am capable of or not. I've lived with my disability since I was born. So, I know what I really need to be able to do, and I know I can do it well."
Did you like the show? So hit the like button and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to receive notifications. We will see you next week.